Hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm gonna be testing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order on the GTX 1660 Ti. To skip to any of the resolutions tested, check the timestamps down in the description. With this being an Unreal Engine 4 game, I was pretty familiar with the options menu, and overall, as usual, the options that affected performance the most were shadows and visual effects and post-processing. Your best bet to improve performance is to lower those three together. Depending on what's on screen, one will affect the performance more than others. In general, shadows and post-processing made the biggest FPS difference, and also there are three options for each of them. You don't have low, medium, high, very high and ultra. You have medium, high and epic. While this makes it easier to just configure the game, I think there's a lot of tweaking potential left behind. I say this because the game still looks great on the lowest settings. There's less shadow distance, lower resolution shadows, no reflections, less complex effects, going from the lowest to the highest pretty much. So yeah, it seems that they wanted to maintain the aesthetic of the game even on the lowest settings. If you play with the settings a lot, make sure to restart the game. There are some shadow distance bugs if you don't do so. Then on the system RAM side of things, I saw that 8 gigs of RAM was enough as long as it's on dual channel. It went over 8 gigabytes of usage sometimes while traversing through different areas. So if you run into that, just restart the game and it will be fine. On the CPU side though, it's a different thing. A quad-core CPU is enough to maintain 60 frames per second in most cases, but there are tons of stutters when going to new areas. You'll see that in the video. When I'm traversing the environment, there will be some spikes in the frame time, which will be even worse the first time you go into a new area. This is not exclusive to quad-core CPUs, but is way more noticeable than if you have, for example, a 6-core i5 or Ryzen 5. Those stutters still happen, but they are not as noticeable, so it seems to be the game just loading something very quickly. So yeah, if possible, try to go for more than 4 cores, but if you don't have a choice, it's not an unplayable game either. And for the testing, I waited to be in an area with a lot of foliage, so that's what I'm showing you in this video. A lot of foliage at the start, then we go to a more artificial place that improves the frame rate significantly, and at the end of the footage there's a lot more vegetation, enemies and effects showing up to really stress the GPU and CPU. And one thing I forgot to mention, the dynamic resolution option is pretty good, at least in my opinion. Just put a maximum frame rate, that is the frame rate that you want to target, then enable dynamic resolution and the game will dynamically adjust it. Of course, this will mean a lower resolution, but I found the frame rate to be significantly more stable. I recommend avoiding the 30 FPS cap. It doesn't seem completely well done. It sometimes drops into the upper 20s instead of staying at 30 with dynamic resolution. So selecting 45, at least in my case, fixed the problem. But anyway guys, that's about it. I hope you keep enjoying the video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.
Enemy spotted! Shoot that Jedi! Get down! Hit him! Blast him! I can't keep track of him! Hit him! Oh no! He's not invincible! Get him! That's not possible! Was that a person? Don't let him run! Let's take him on! Converge on the target. Scared. Get him. I'm gonna take you out, no problem. You Jedi.
Help! Stim!
the ground. Look up there!
Watch yourself!
Attack him, quickly! Watch out, he's moving! Moving to engage! We'll take you! I think he's scared. We'll catch you eventually. Okay, I got this. I got this. Take this. Stay away. Is it just me? Jedi! Stay with it! Don't let up! Had to take a shot! On my way! He took out our flame trooper! Got it. Nice hit! Stand still!
Toss it!
We found the Jedi! I got him! Understood! I can't fight anymore! You don't scare me! Look at him! Is he going to get away? Stay on you! What are you waiting for? Get the stormtrooper down! How did you kill them all?
Can I get some help? Good timing.
I found my next victim. I want more. Die, Jedi. Hit him! Blasting again! Get him! Dodging a little fast! Watch my back! I hit him! Keep focused! at him. All right. We'll get you for that. Jedi spotted. Get the Jedi. Far away. You can't beat us all. Touching again? Keep your distance. I found my next victim. Lucky. Execute the intruder. Blast him. I got it. Stay on you. Got some dogs. He couldn't beat you.
You missed him!